of many Kenyans this Labor Day. We see a lot of job losses, higher taxes, a cost of living that is becoming quite unbearable as well. Do you believe that the current labor laws are existing really are working in the best interest of the Kenyan worker?
Well, largely, yes, the labor law, the Employment Act, and all the other, pieces of legislation that govern workplace, health, and compensation, largely they work. There are a few sections that are still outdated, that are not matching the global trend, but those are, change in progress, and they can be, if a section here or there is outdated and does not address probably, let's say, proper fair practice, what is considered fair, in this part of the world, in Africa and East Africa, for example, might be a practice that is, frowned upon if you go to the Europe and the, Americas. So yes, some sections that would be lagging behind in that respect, there are just a few of them and they can be improved. Yeah. But largely, the Employment Act, as amended in 2017 and later, protects the worker, actually. Probably the problem would be, does the worker then know what are his rights, what are her rights? So that, and I think that is largely an issue of both reading and education. I mean, being educated, not in class. I'm talking about the employer allowing the employee to know their rights and showing them that this is your right, this is what you should do. If anybody tells you this is what you ought to do. If you need leave, this is what you need to do. If somebody is discriminating against you because of gender, because of color, or because of ability or disability of your physical, body, then in that sense, these are your rights. So I think it's more or less an issue of, are the workers informed?
So even as much as you say that the Kenyan employer should be in a position to just let their employee know these are your rights, but do you think that they create a space to just let their workers know that...
now you are in the field of economics and revenue and budget and whether you should surrender all your rights as employer so that the employee can have his rights, while as an employer, we have what we call, I think, Federation of Kenya Employers, and there's a whole piece of legislation also governing what employers can do. So the point here, at least an employer must expose an act of parliament and what it stipulates to their employees. You cannot hide. If a question of you need leave, it should be pointed out over there. What is the process of applying for that leave? You need to showcase it over there. In case somebody approaches you and is in a supervisorial level and is trying to intimidate you, for example, into discrimination or harassment at the workplace, what should you do? There should be a whole code pinned on the walls and in all visible places, so that an employee who comes to work, even a young employee or misinformed or less informed employee, is able actually to pick up their rights and they immediately approach the supervisor or the HR so that they can be protected. So I think employers have no reason to hide, except, speaking humanly, when you look at the economics, you don't want the employee to have so much rights and is unmanageable in the workplace. I think those are just what I can call, administrative fears that should not overshadow the rights within the Employment Act. Yeah,
you mentioned about the FKE, of course, the Federation of Kenyan Employer. They released a report that stated that, the employment space remains quite fragile in the country.